Hey everyone, and welcome to the very last Bagua Zhang session in 2021 from Cologne, Germany. This is a 60-minute follow-along class, and you might wonder why it's just 37 minutes long. Well, I obviously did not film the circle walking part at the end, which is 20 minutes. So 37 minutes to follow along, and afterwards you do your circle walking, as you've learned in class, on our workshops, or online courses. But for now, let's get started with the joint rotations here. As in every single class, I start from the feet up to loosen up my body, to get rid of the daily tension I carry around, and to prepare and tune my body for the practice to come. This very last session in 2021 was somewhat slow in the beginning. Because it was super cold outside and it feels just right to prepare the body well before moving through all the palm changes, the forms, etc. And someone in class asked me if these joint rotations are a part of the Yizong Bagua system. And no, the answer is no. It's something that I do on a daily basis, or basically I do joint rotations and the full body joint prep before each and every class or each movement session that I approach, being it the internal martial arts or jiu-jitsu or a handstand session. I always start from the feet up. I move through all my joints at least like 10 times. And yeah, it's like tuning a guitar before you want to start practicing. To me, this is maybe the most important session of the day. And even if it's just 5 minutes after waking up, it's just, yeah, I'm kind of addicted to it. Well, in general, you want to listen maybe to this voiceover for the first time that you watch this video, and afterwards you just mute me and my talking and yeah, enjoy some music instead of that same voice over and over again. Yeah, we have been moving through the ankles first, then the knees, the hips, and now we move more upstream through the spine with spinal waves forwards and backwards, as you are used to from other follow-along videos. So first, I usually start with forward waves, then comes backwards waves, but I make it a point of moving through my whole spine before the training sessions. You're used to the concept of our spine being able to move in 3 planes of motion, which is flexion, extension, side bending, and rotation. And I make sure that I hit those planes of motion in every warm-up session. So we had the rotation afterwards, swinging arms, very loose arms here, and also I'm letting go of the heel on the other side. So when I turn to the right, I let go of my heel on the left in order to just avoid strain on the ankle joint and make it as loose as possible. Heavy arms. And shoulder joints. So there's 1,000 variations on how to circle your shoulders. I just prefer the unilateral, the single arm version of it, because both shoulders really don't feel the same at all. And yeah, that's why I like to move every arm independently. performing those shoulder circles, I try to extend my arm as far as possible. So I really stretch it out, stretching into the longest position possible to get a good stretch in the shoulder joint and move through the full range of motion here. Now I move down the arms to the elbow joint and the wrist, curling my arm in and extending out with the rotation, the forearm and the hand. Again, you could do this just in order to save time, you just do it simultaneously with left and right arm. But we took the time here. Ran 10 repetitions for each arm, the single version. So this session was a pretty proper one if you would approach a solo training, because we took a lot of time on the joint rotations and the general warm-up, and then we basically started to move from zero position into our basic hand methods, and from there into some Neigong, the Tian Gan exercises, and strengthening the specifically the core and the back before moving into solo practice of the single palm change, the snake palm, the dragon palm. You will see that coming towards the end of the video. And we finished off with circle walking for 20 minutes. So that's a full hour of self-practice. And in a perfect world, you would do this session on a daily basis. So now comes neck rotations. I draw a circle in front of me with my nose, both directions, of course. And then I switch to drawing circles to the ceiling with the top of my head, the baihui point, the crown of my head. And this is the last movement of the joint rotation set. Again, starting from the feet up to the top of your head. Many people ask me, what's the reason for moving from the feet up? Yeah, well, it's much easier to start from the feet, like you build your house from the ground up and not from the ceiling. I like to loosen up and tune my body from the feet, because then everything I loosen up on top is built on a proper foundation. And if I start from the neck and I move down to the feet, then my neck might be back into a improper position once I arrive at the feet, and that usually doesn't happen if I move up from the feet to the crown. So after the joint rotations, we went to 5 minutes of Wuji posture. It's kind of weird to do that standing exercises after joint rotations when you just feel ready to get moving. But I enjoy it quite a bit to first move my joints and get rid of unnecessary tension before I stand in Wuji. That's not the traditional way to do it. Maybe it's more traditional to just start with Wuji and then stand there for 10 to 20 minutes and then mostly mentally let go of tension. But I sometimes find it's too time consuming and too difficult after a long day of working and maybe receiving stress on many ends. Then it's much harder to release and to relax into a good empty posture when you don't move through your body first. So I prefer the joint rotations first, get a nice sense of my situation, and then I do the Uji stance And from here, I just start my session basically. So in the last 2 or 3 months, we focused on 3 very, very important internal cues. And those are first the lengthening of the spine, which I am practicing here. Again, you want to align your body from the feet up to the head. You want to place your weight evenly on the feet. You want to keep your legs bent. You want to release the tension in your hips by slightly tilting your hips backward. You want to lengthen your spine with the image of a helium balloon attached to the crown of your head, which is pulling up your spine gently, so lengthening the spine. That's the first internal cue. The second internal cue that I am working on right now here is the sinking and relaxing. And from there, I work just the opposite way, from the crown of the head down to the feet. So I try to release all unnecessary tension in my body, from my head, the forehead, between the eyebrows, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, and the arms. And once I reach the fingers, I move into my upper body again. I try to release and open my chest, the rib area, and also the belly area, so my breath can flow in and out without constraint. I want to release the hips and especially the tension, if there is any residual tension in the lower back or the hip flexors, and let the tension flow down through the thighs and the calves and the shins, and down through the feet and into the ground. So that's the second internal cue, relaxing and sinking. And once I did that, I work on the third internal cue we've practiced over the last month, which is the expansion. So we have lengthening, number 1, sinking and relaxing, number 2, and expansion, number 3. And this, if you practice carefully, can absolutely change the quality of all your practice that comes later. So those internal cues, lengthening, sinking, and expansion, should be present in all your forms, in your circle walking, and visible from the outside, as well as felt on the inside. So when walking on the expansion cue, first I imagine that all the cells of my body move to the full size, as if you would be in space and jumping out of your space capsule, and then suddenly you're weightless and your whole body expands. So therefore, in order to make it more palpable, we practice the classic Bao Taiji posture with the hands on like chest level, slightly below the shoulders, and we hold this position for, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 10 minutes, depending on the day and how you feel. But the idea here is that you are basically hugging a huge balloon, and that with every in-breath, you can imagine that you expand this balloon inside of your arms, so that balloon is nourishing the structure of your arms here and really strengthening the structure of your arms, and you get a nice sensation of expanding into space. So again, most important cue of all is the lengthening of the spine with the helium balloon attached to the Bai Hui point on top of your head. The second internal cue would be the sinking and the release of tension from the head down through the feet and into the ground. And the third internal cue we've been working on is the expansion. Therefore, we take the posture of Bao Taiji, holding the hands in front of our chest. That's Zhan Zhuang practice. And here we imagine holding a balloon in between our hands, which inflates with every in-breath that we take. That's a very nice exercise, to be honest, and well, you could enjoy this exercise for much more than just 5 minutes. Just go for 5, start with 5, maybe do that the first month, and then you slowly add some minutes to the timer until you can hold this position for like an hour. And The most important cue for that, and not freaking out with shoulder tension, is that you imagine that you're holding up something very light, like a balloon, like I said before. So the balloon is actually holding up your hands, and you don't need to carry any weight. This helps a lot. And also another thing that helps a ton is to really focus on opening the shoulder blades at the back. So it's a really extended position, and you don't end up lifting the hands from your shoulders, which would create such a tremendous amount of tension that you would definitely need to lower your hands earlier than you've planned. So that's just because we want to we want to continue with our Bagua session. There was maybe like 3 or 4 minutes here of Zhan Zhuang practice. And after reviewing the 3 internal cues, we then started to move again. So we changed the Wuji stance just slightly, and we shifted the majority of our weight towards the balls of our feet. We bent the knees a little more, and then we started to rotate around the central axis. So through pushing and into one leg and lifting the weight of the other leg, we can make our hip rotate without shifting the weight from one leg to the other. That's important. So your spine stays in the central position, and through pushing into the ground and lifting the other leg, don't really lift it, so the foot stays on the floor, we can rotate and generate force. And this force travels upstream through the spine, through the shoulders and into our arms. And from here, we start to move into our Ziban Shoufa and our basic hand methods. Okay, this is piercing palm here. You can just follow along again. And you should have practiced those basic hand methods before, so I don't need to explain the details of that. And if you want to, if you just arrived at this video for the first time and you want to learn it properly, just get in touch. There's an online course on Bagua Basics 1. I teach workshops, and yeah, just get in touch and I will get you started. So moving from Ziban Shoufa number 1 into the exercise number 2. So now that you've warmed up through the joint rotations and you've practiced the standing exercise and the internal cues, that informs your basic hand methods. So while performing the set of the basic hand methods, you keep those internal cues alive, you keep your spine long, you try to release all the unnecessary tension, you want to work with the expansion cues. So it's all long movements, very classic characteristics of the Yizong Bagua style or Gao style in general. Number 3, pushing forward, first from the fingertips, then lifting the fingertips. So you push forward from the palm of your hands, the center of your palm. I've said it many times before, the Ziban Shoufa are like basically the warm-up for each Bagua session that you do. And despite being called basic hand methods, Ziban Shoufa, it's really about the whole body movement behind the hands. So it's again super important to understand your own best alignment, to understand how you need to rotate your joints, to set up your skeleton in order to be able to transfer and to receive incoming pressure. That's all in the Ziban Shoufa sets. Yeah, you will see the details on that in previous videos, so just check out the channel to get those details. Here we go to the squatting motion. That's Ziban Shoufa number 5. So this is a slightly wider stance here. It's not a very low squat. The important part here is that you move your hips back, and in the same amount as you move your hips back, you move your shoulders and knees forward. And at the end of the movement, the front of your shoulders should be in line with the knees. So that's a strong, or the strongest possible position, in case someone is pushing into you from the front. Lifting the hands here, turning, and then letting the fist just drop down. Again, that's the obvious part of the motion, but the more important part is in the whole body movement behind the hands. Then comes number 6, a nice spinal extension here, and a pressuring down with the wrist, leaning forward, pushing and pressing down. Beautiful movement here that if you practice this for a long time, this will help you so much in understanding lengthening and sinking. Again, the 2 cues we worked on in the standing meditation. We move to the slapping part, number 7 of the Tian Shofar. It works like a whip. You can let go of your hand at the end of the motion, but be careful if you haven't practiced those for some time. You might just hold some more tension in your hand, reduce the whipping at the end, so that will save you some troubles. And the final movement of the Tian Shofar set that we teach in the beginning, that's the Kai He, the opening and closing. Again, it's called the Tian Shofar, the hand methods, but especially in this motion, you see that it's not just a hand movement, but the whole body is moving, and the hands are following the whole body movement of opening and closing. Opening and closing. Every joint in the body should open and close, starting to rotate from the feet through the legs, the hips, and up through the shoulders, elbows, and the fingers, and then you close those joints. Very, very excellent small exercise here. Kai He. All right, so that was the Tian Shofar set, and from here I move into something that I enjoy a lot, and that's big arm swings. Also, again, into the most important, or into the 3 planes of motion of the spine. So first is flexion and extension here. Really swinging your arms heavy and enjoying the elasticity of your whole body while swinging the arms up, extending the arms over your head, and then swinging them down. So this is increasing the blood flow now and really warming up. And yeah, like I said, enjoying the feeling of an elastic body, a quality that usually diminishes when you age, but something that you can and you probably should practice very regularly in order not to lose it. Elasticity in the body. So here comes sideways, arm swing, with the focus of opening the area of the ribs, but really stretching the whole side of your body. So this is the sideways plane of motion of your spine after flexion and extension. Again, we talked about it a lot in class recently, about imagining like very, very fresh rubber bands in your joints, and you want to extend the rubber band and then swing it back to enjoy the feeling of elasticity throughout your whole body. And the last one of these 3 arm swing exercises is the rotational movement. Again, really working with elasticity and focusing on the juicy qualities of your movement. As you might understand from what I've been talking about, I always work with internal cues when I practice. They just keep my practice interesting and my mind on the practice itself. It helps me a ton to focus on quality, and keeps the interest and keeps the practice interesting. I've been doing those exercises now for more than 15 years, and I don't know, they've never become boring. It's I don't know if it's the same for you, but I suggest you try and to work with images and stories inside of your body. This will keep your exercises fresh and also increase the quality tremendously. So from the arm swings, we moved into Tiangan, and just the first one, which is also about extending the spine, lifting the spine here. And we did 10 repetitions to each side. So this is after arm swings, after creating this elastic force, the quality of the rubber bands. We now move into strengthening those long lines in your body from the feet into your fingertips. You inhale on the extension part, so it's inhalation here, and then when you exhale, you extend the spine upwards. Inhale and exhale. Make sure that you turn your feet and that you really turn your hip to the sides. Now, second part of the first Tiangan exercise, inhalation and exhalation, and then you draw a circle in front of your body with your inhalation here. You turn your feet, your whole body, and then you exhale and return to the starting position. Now change. Again, that was 10 repetitions. That's a good count for a warm-up. The whole Tiangan set is made of 10 exercises or 10 categories of movement, and they all split into at least 2 versions. So this is the very first Tiangan and the 2 variations of it. It's a super nice set to strengthen your body. That's the Neigong of our Bagua Zhang system. It connects your alignment, your structure, your breath, your focus. Very strengthening exercises. Okay, we did just this first Tiangan exercise to finish our warm-up. So the warm-up is done, and from here we walk into technical practice. So that's usually the part where you review or you learn new movements. So in this case, we reviewed the single palm change, the snake palm change, and the dragon palm change. And we did 2 sets of each for 10 repetitions, starting with the single palm change here. You might just follow along. And after the first set, the first set on single palm change, snake, and dragon, we stopped the video and we kept practicing for the second round before we went into circle walking practice. And that's the full hour of self-practice, the last one in 2021. But for now, let's focus on the palm changes. So that's the single palm change. Again, we do it in step-by-step fashion because this is a review of the actual movement pattern and not the practice of the fluid motion. Okay, so step by step, I usually use a counting method so people get used to the positions inside the movement pattern. So it's shifting the weight, stepping forward in kobu, then turning, stepping forward again, turning to the outside of the circle, and turning back to the inside of the circle. Shifting the weight 1, kobu 2, turn 3, step 4, turn to the outside 5, and turn back to the inside 6. We have been talking about the details quite a lot, so I'm not going to review this here. Again, if you're interested in learning this, please just send a message and I will hook you up. Okay, so we did 10 repetitions of the single palm change before moving into the snake smooth body palm. And again, we do it in a step-by-step pattern or fashion. Yeah. So in Yizong Bagua, we have 2 sets of palm changes, 2 sets of 8 palm changes to be more clearly. And the first set is what we practice here. So that's the small frame snake smooth body palm, so to say. Again, all the details can be found in previous videos on this YouTube channel here. Again, I use counts for each position, so I can make sure that everyone in class understands the pit stops or the important points before we start to move more smoothly through the whole pattern. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we add a small single palm change. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Adding the single palm change afterwards. So snake smooth body palm here, and again 10 repetitions. After that we practice the dragon palm change, and this is when the video will stop. And if you want to keep practicing, just do another set of each. So another 10 repetitions of the single palm change, another 10 reps on the snake smooth body palm, another 10 reps on the dragon palm change before you start your circle walking practice, where you integrate all your previously learned palm changes into the circle walking exercise. That would be a full hour of practice and something to keep you occupied during this 2 weeks holiday at the end of the year 2021 and at the start of the new and beautiful year of 2022. So let's finish off with the dragon palm change here. Always hard to find the camera angle where you can actually film the whole session without moving out of the frame. Well, it worked almost. So the dragon palm change to finish off this class. Moving out of the frame here, but I noticed, so the next one you will see more clearly. Another 10 repetitions. Moving into the circle, moving through the palm change. Again, being very precise about the positions inside the pattern. So it's counting again, shifting the weight 1, Kobu 2, stepping into the circle 3, moving up and down 4, turning 5, 6, Gongbu 7, and returning 8. One more time. Shift weight 1, step 2, step 3, up and down 4, turn 5, 6, Gongbu 7, returning to the starting position number 8. Okay. Again, please keep moving. Please do another set of 10 on the single palm change, the snake smooth body palm, and the dragon palm change before you add your circle walking practice. And, well, let me know how it went through the comments below, and I'm looking forward to meet you again in 2022. Another year of airbending ahead.